Feedbacking is important in education. It allows continuity of learning and it allows facilitators to guarantee that the student is addressing the weak points of his or her demonstrated content and skills. The feedback is better understood in this scenario. The comical representation of the dynamics between the feedback giver and the feedback receiver. This time, the dog is so smart enough to know what meta learning is. It's like the dog wants to improve and would like to know specifically which areas it needs to improve by saying, could you be more specific about bad dog? Being bad could entail not finishing its food, messing up the room, eating up the pair of socks of its owner. So when the specific situation or badness has been specified by the owner, then the dog will be satisfied. Etymologically, to feed is to nourish the soul. In education, nourishing is nourishing the mental aspect of the learner and the physical aspect as well of the learner, since we have balanced education usually in our curriculum. There is physical activity and then there's also an academic mental activity. The feedback in electronics parlance is to feed the signal back to the source, which is really an undesirable effect. In education, some feedbacks are not packaged well, that the student would misunderstand the essence of feedback. It's not solely about getting our comments across. That's too one way. The full circle effect is when the student finally addresses the mistakes. It should relate to clear criteria. When we are too general, like for example, you're a bad dog, the learner, recipient will not know how to address a very general comment. Or personally, the general comment is too exhausting for him or her to address. Targeting criteria is targeting by chunk, in depth about the matter. Constructive, this is what I meant by begin with a negative comment and then wrap it up with a positive one. Remember that students are emotional beings, so he has to handle the direction, he has to handle the strategy, the process, and he needs to assure that the target is really achieved. You should provide feedback on exams. Scores are feedback, but they are not qualitative. Qualitative feedback is important because it will humanize the process of learning. Learning process should have group dynamics or partner dynamics. So the teacher might from time to time assign a peer reviewer to someone's work. Or the teacher from time to time would ask the student to reflect on their own work according to a set criteria posted, okay, in the learning management system. If you teach the student how to assess themselves, they better appreciate the assessment process done by the teacher in general. And it will help them understand furthermore the specific skills that they need to demonstrate. Feedback should be accessible to students, especially in this hybrid mode. Make sure that there are alternatives to expressing the comments and suggestions. The student might appreciate that it's textual. In some circumstances, they might appreciate the audio feedback or the video audio feedback. Accessibility is not just determined by having an internet connection or having weak internet connection, but the essence of accessibility is when you really communicate it efficiently to students using different modes or channels of communication. The organic ingredient in feedbacking is communication. So if we get it straight and we get it done rightly, and students will transmute it into a positive impact. flexible and suited to students' need.